You know, for as much as Texas loves their southern history, they sure don't learn from it. Joel Osteen is a great guy. You want to know what's annoying? It's people that think Joel Osteen owes you anything. Joel Osteen is a businessman. He is a person who reads from a book passionately about tales of people who might be figments of our imagination. People who are looking to the church for help when they have elected officials who are being paid by their tax dollars for help is the worst thing that ever happened in government, because ostensibly they've shifted the blame to someone who doesn't even have to answer your cries for help. And this is a prime example of why it's important for us to start looking to our government to protect us instead of asking for help from baby Jesus, because he's a baby. A baby can't save you from drowning. White was the mayor around 2005-2006 when Hurricane Rita came knocking at the door. Category 5 caused $10 billion worth of damage and also created a precedent where it took 13 hours outside of Houston for people to travel 60 miles. Since infrastructures were not compatible or even up to standard in order to protect all of its citizens or safely transport all of its citizens, as back in 2005 the order was given for there to be a mass evacuation of Houston. This potentially led to the deaths of 60 people from heat stroke, dehydration, and just all-out damage from the hurricane. We have the metrics now. We have the numbers. We have the idea. We know how far the hurricane can go. We also know the demographic of people who are going to need our help, and we also are aware of the time frame of when these hurricanes might occur. So why is it that we are not prepared in 2017? Oh yeah, because we
fake news.
But we have everything we could possibly think of in order for us to be prepared for this situation, and I'm here to tell you we're not going to be prepared for the next one, because Republicans are greedy individuals. These elected officials that we have in Texas knew that this was going to happen again. After the hurricane in 2005, there were steps taken by the federal government in order for the state to be more prepared in the event of another hurricane. Infrastructures were supposed to be built in order to help update the dam that hasn't been touched since 1943, add more aggressive roads that lead out of the city in a more effective way. If you're from Houston, you can attest to this. The roads are horrible. In addition, Texas bid out $900 million for the course of a 10-year plan in order to build infrastructures. This would have been dedicated to building a mass shelter hole built 100 miles outside of Houston area where people could evacuate for safety and could hold up to anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 displaced people for large periods of time. In addition, $150 million to help build roads that would help expedite the transportation of injured or people trying to escape flood situations. These infrastructure towers are supposed to be built well above rising sea levels for the next 10 years. What did your senators, governors, and mayors decide to do with this money? They decided to opt out of the $900 million fund and instead take it as a bid. What does this mean? They sold out $900 million to 4 major companies in order to build toll roads around Houston. These 4 toll roads have been paid off since 2012, as Sam Houston makes close to $10 million every fiscal cycle year. And all of this bad spending didn't really happen until Democrats lost control of Texas back in 1993. And in the event of lobbyists, when you take money from someone else, you owe them. But if you take money from the people you are servicing, you owe the people, which is ideal. That's how it's supposed to be. And it didn't get any better with Ted Cruz in 2013, who ramped up this idea, the Hurricane Sandy event, denying them the ability to pass a bill that would have helped add $100 million in relief. He opted out of it, saying that the relief fund didn't have anything to do with the hurricane. And now here Texas is receiving aid from Mexico when we had a president say this:
they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
When our Republicans in our state agreed and supported Agent Orange defunding of FEMA by 11%, the defunding of the National Guard by 15%, and the defunding of natural disaster revenue by 34%. These Republicans in your state asking you to hold on for dear life are the same people who told you don't worry. Leadership in Texas has said is we don't need to worry about those things, and we're not going to make preparations for the future because our constituents are idiots. We have people like this arguing on Facebook. Joel Osteen should be ashamed of himself. Joel Osteen is a businessman. I don't care what you think about his church, what he should have done with the church's money, because when it comes straight down to it, businesses don't cry. And what I mean by this is, you call it tithes, I call it a source of income. You call it sermons, gospels, I call it motivational speaking for donation. He is a businessman through and through. His place of business is how he generates gets a $50 million salary. Now, I'm no expert in religion by no means. Jesus Christ didn't have $50 million. What would one of the speakers of gospel need $50 million for? Joel Osteen isn't a good person, and I'm okay with that because Joel Osteen isn't an elected official. Your mayor in Texas knew that this storm was coming well in advance, but when your president thinks science is fake news, it's hard to get people to actually be held accountable for ignoring the signs and symptoms of a hurricane. If Texas had used those infrastructures properly back in 2005, maybe we wouldn't have a situation where over 400 people are still missing, 13 confirmed dead. The numbers don't lie. The truth is, Republicans know that the generations won't pick up on this. As long as you're mad at Joel Osteen, you can't be mad at the people really responsible for your sorrows. And it's almost ironic that Hurricane Harvey hit a major oil industry company, and we now have 2 chemical plants that have exploded down in Houston, spewing out chemical sewage throughout the water system, probably leading to irreversible damage as far as Houston's drinking water is concerned. But no one seems to understand, especially Republicans. Republican Party members don't care about environments, they don't care about people, and they definitely don't care about holier than thou Joel Osteen. He was at one point quoted as being a Trump supporter. So tell me how someone who said this,
grab him by the pussy,
could be buddies with someone who says this.
Bro, I never wanted to do it.
And do something good for you. A little bit of advice for you before we go. No matter who you believe in and who you call God, it isn't their job to protect you. In fact, it's not even God's job to protect you. It is the job of your elected officials to protect you. It is the job of these people to make sure you're safe. And I hope to the God you pray to, November 7th, 2017, you know who you're voting for, because that person is going to be around when the next hurricane comes. And hopefully that person doesn't sell you out like the last elected official did. But who knows? Maybe Joel Osteen will come back in 10 years and open up his church again. Because if history has taught me anything, people will continue to invest in a church's future instead of their own. And that, to me, is crazy. Absolutely